Hello, Internet. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake, and this is Unpopular Culture, the only show where the hosts are free range and cage free, so that their milk is better. You gonna milk us?
I'll milk you.
We have supple teats, because the farmers take care of us. Anyways, today we're talking about Bill Nye saving the world. One Netflix episode at a time. We're also going to talk about, we're going to parlay that into more Netflix news, where Hugo has found out that Netflix is saving children from the scourge of evil advertisers. Also, DeathStroke is confirmed for the next Batman flick. Batfleck and Geoff Johns have recruited Slade Wilson to be the main villain, it seems. I guess we don't have confirmation onto his mainness, but he looks cool as fuck. And then we're gonna parlay a guy named Deathstroke into the death of Gene Wilder.
Oh,
That'll be classy, I'm sure.
that was almost tasteless. Good job.
Yeah. And then finally we have a brief thing that we found out about recently. It's been going on for a couple years, but there's this really, really cool thing happening in movie-going experiences, and so we wanted to share that with you.
Sure. So first off, Bill Nye. I'm very excited about this news because my favorite class in high school was science, and in middle school. And obviously, you know the day when they wheel in the TV with the VHS thing or the DVD player, like, oh, it's Bill Nye Day. For those of you who maybe,
Well,
I don't know if they still show
it was Osmosis Jones.
It could have been Osmosis Jones if it was biology. I don't know if they still show it in high schools and stuff. Probably, though. It just depends. Maybe they have a new thing that they do. But for a huge chunk of people growing up on Bill Nye in science class, what a strange, interesting way to learn about science. And it sticks with you because of just how odd the presentation is.
Have you watched it in your adult life? Because a lot of people forget how totally absurdist that entire series was. Because when you think back to it, you think, Bill, like you think the song, and then you think of, did you know that? Now you know. But you don't think of these weird 50s detective skits they did, or like Bill Nye would always be doing something crazy. It wasn't a very linear thing. They would explain, like the lava episode, they explain that to you, and he like touches the mantle a bunch of times. It goes a ton. It's like Tim and Eric, like Diet Tim and Eric, but with science.
Yeah, I know.
And I forgot that until I watched it again.
It's on Netflix right now. Honestly, if no one has seen Bill Nye out there, if anyone hasn't seen it, rather,
especially if you have kids, sit them in front of that shit.
Or if you're single and like to partake in the devil's tobacco now and again, because like if you're
if you have kids and also partake in the devil's tobacco, it's still fine.
It's fucking great. To be honest, if you're in Colorado, for instance, that's legal to say.
Somewhere where it's legal, of course.
Yeah.
We would never advocate for YouTube's terms of service. We wouldn't violate that where we advocate. So, anyways, it's just really cool. So Bill Nye's getting a new series on Netflix, actually, which is great. I can't imagine it's going to be nearly as absurdist, but it is called, in fact, Bill Nye Saves the World, and it's set to debut in spring of 2017, so all we have to get through is the death of all living things around us in the cold, bitter winter, and then we start anew with some Bill Nye. And it's actually a series that, according to this article from Engadget, which is a thing I just found today, the series will explore science and its impact on society, pop culture, and politics. Now it goes on different kind of adventures. It's probably going to be like a documentary style thing, but it's going to be special guests, experiments, demonstrations. He's going to be at a new location every time. I'm thinking kind of a mix between every nature documentary you've ever seen and Cosmos.
Sure. I can see
and
that.
Bill Nye.
Yeah. I think it'll
So
be cool.
it sounds awesome.
He's done a really good job in the past couple of years of being like a science communicator, especially about climate change, which is really important, especially because he does have this place in the memories of kids who saw him in high school and middle school and stuff. They can look at him and say, oh, this guy, don't get me wrong, Bill Nye just has an engineering degree. He's not actually like a doctorate in, anything like climate, whatever, but he's a good science communicator, and that's what he does. So when he goes on TV, like CNN or MSNBC or whatever, and talks about the importance of climate change and what we need to do in switching to renewable energy sources and whatnot, I think he does a good job of explaining it in a way that isn't condescending, and people, even if they're on the fence about it, which you shouldn't be, but if you are, I think he does it in a way that's open, and people are able to listen to and say, oh, okay, that makes sense, and I think he's just doing it because he genuinely cares about the planet and the people living on it.
Yeah, and also he has clout from he was the children's show guy, and so a lot of people identify with he can be trusted with the information he's giving you. Some people will discount him, like when he did the Ken Ham debate thing with the Noah's Ark and all that shit. Some people discount him because of his engineering background and not that he wasn't like a biologist or something for evolution or whatever. But you got to remember, people like Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse Tyson, like they're not biologists either, but they are they're all scientists. Engineering is a science. They're still smart dudes. But the most important facet of that is what Hugo said. They can communicate these ideas clearly. And I think it helps that they're not biologists, because when someone like Richard Dawkins, for instance, explains biology, if he's just straight up doing bio, it's tough to follow, even for someone that is really enthusiastic about science and all that stuff. If he gets into really specific stuff, he's clearly in that field.
Yeah.
It's hard for him to dumb it down for you because it's so rudimentary to him. So I think it really lends to it. Also, Bill Nye is just fun. He's just a fun dude.
Yeah.
And I actually hope the series is uncensored, because if he gets to swear just a little bit here and there, it makes me happy. I love hearing him swear.
He has a good sense of humor. He was on Amy Schumer one time, I know, in one skit, and whether or not you like Amy Schumer, it was a funny skit. It was like about these girls like being like, oh my god, I was gonna totally not talk to Mark, but then the universe totally sent me a sign, and then it goes to Bill Nye, and it's sort of a Cosmos parody where he's talking about basic bitches, basically. And at the end of that, he says something like, well, that's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And it's just really funny. So he has a good sense of humor about himself. And
him and Neil deGrasse Tyson have actually been in some sitcoms. I can't remember what sitcom it was. I want to say Big Bang Theory, but I don't think that was it.
Probably.
Where they're kind of at like a mixer, like a wine mixer, and they meet a former colleague, and they have some jokes about Pluto being demoted and just some other stuff. And then after that, Neil and Bill are talking after the two leave, and they're like, I can't believe that she's dating him. And Bill's like, dude, I have dibs. You're married anyway. It's fine. And he's like, oh, it's okay, wingman. And it's just super funny. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be one of my favorite things probably on Netflix.
That'll be good.
That's not a Marvel show. So I'm very much looking forward to it. If you don't have Netflix, why? Why?
It's like $10 a month now, I think.
It's the only thing that makes sense to have.
Like, even if you only got it for like a month at a time and just watch some of their shows, it's so good. Or pirate it. I don't care what you do with your life.
If you have the internet and don't have Netflix, you're wasting your internet. I'm just throwing that out there. You're wasting it. Anyways, let's move on. And we're moving on to more Netflix news. And apparently a study has shown that Netflix on average saves kids from up to 150 hours of ads per year.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's actually
Which
funny.
Makes sense.
I got this from Engadget 2, separately from you. We had no coordination, but that's also where this article's from. That's kind of funny.
Cool.
But yeah, I thought this was interesting because there's such a shift in new media and how we get content, whether it be through YouTube or Netflix or Hulu or whatever. And now streaming services are so popular and cable's diminishing over time. Kids are growing up in households, especially with younger parents, without being inundated with the same ads we were in our childhoods. I remember in the 90s, I mean, part of me has a soft spot for those ads, but, like, I remember some of those ads better than the TV shows I was watching. You know what I mean? Like, I can remember, like, Capri Sun, Liquid Metal. For some reason, they turned into the T1000, and now they're surfing, and Capri Sun. You know what I mean?
Mine was Sock'em Boppers.
Oh, sock 'em boppers.
Sock 'em boppers, sock 'em boppers. More fun than a pillow fight. And then you get them and they break immediately.
See, there's no reason we should remember that. That's pure fucking marketing bullshit, but I totally remember that, and I had sock 'em boppers, so it's like...
Right, I totally had sock 'em boppers, and I kicked the shit out of my little brother with them. He got mad.
Anyway, it'll be interesting, I'm just saying, in the next couple of years, in the next coming decades, actually, to see these kids growing up without a tolerance for ads, because I think we all know and recognize that over the past couple decades, ads have become more and more a part of our life, even in internet culture. Like, I mean, there's ad blockers and stuff, but if you don't have it for whatever reason, and you should turn it off for YouTube if you like YouTubers. Wink, wink.
You should turn off your ad block. We make more money and we can to feed our families.
But
I'm gonna feed my family, don't you?
But honestly, especially in cable TV and stuff, the ads have gotten to a ridiculous extent, to the point where one of the examples I always use is TBS, which is a very popular, syndication network for the most part. They also air Conan, I think, and he's very funny. But they've been doing stuff where they'll take shows that they do in syndication, like Seinfeld, and they speed it up. They speed up the show so they can put more ads. So a show that used to be 22 minutes long is now 20 to 18 minutes long. And you can tell, I've seen side-by-side comparisons, you can actually find them on YouTube, where it shows the original versus the sped-up version. And the sped-up version isn't as funny, because comedy is about timing. You see this also on BBC America. Jake and I are both big fans of Doctor Who. If you've watched the show for a while, you know that. BBC America, on the first run of Doctor Who, they air it just like it's aired in the UK, but they add commercials, which isn't a thing in the UK, on the BBC at least. And then after that, when they run it as a rerun, they'll cut out scenes or speed the show up so they can put ads in.
You cannot cut scenes out of Doctor Who.
And that's why I refuse to watch it. I don't have cable anymore anyway, but even when I did, I refused to watch it on BBC America because it was ridiculous. Stuff like that has gotten so ridiculous that I understand TV is a business. I totally understand that. I recognize it needs to make money. I also make money making content, and I rely on
Fuck that,
ads.
let's burn it to the ground!
But there needs to be a balance, and the ads can never, overtake the content. And it's gotten to a point in old media, whether it be radio or cable or even network, where the ads have gotten so ludicrous, especially for cable or satellite TV, because you're paying for it. My parents have DirecTV and have had it for years. Their bill is like $150 a month because he has sports packages and stuff.
It's because they don't switch it out, man.
And when I go, I haven't had cable in like 4 years. I do solely internet streaming services and stuff. So when I go to their house sometimes to have dinner or whatever, and the TV's on, it infuriates me when we're trying to watch something, no matter what it is. It might not even be a show I want to watch, but then the ads come on and it's half the runtime of the show. Yeah. And they don't even notice because, they've been dealing with it even longer than I have because they're older, obviously. But this ad encroachment is so ridiculous, and hopefully these kids now growing up without that influx of ads, at least not in the traditional sense, there are still product placements and stuff.
It'll shift the market.
I hope they won't put up with it, and even if commercials end up coming to streaming services, which I really, really hope they don't, I'd pay a lot more for Netflix than I do currently to keep it ad-free and to get more content, honestly. But don't tell them that. Hopefully these younger generations will grow up and say, no, I'm here for the content. I'll even pay for the content as a subscription, but don't you dare put ads in that because I'm already paying for it. So that'd be good. I've also heard stories a couple times about parents who, their kids are maybe 5 or 6. They're old enough where you can talk to them, but they're not able to have a reasonable conversation, who've only grown up with Netflix, and then they go over to like a friend's house or something, and the parent is there, and a commercial comes on. This was one specific one that I heard about. A commercial came on, and then the kid looked to the parent because they didn't understand what was happening and why the show stopped and why it was trying to sell them a thing. And the parent was like, oh yeah, they've never really seen an ad in a TV show before. So, I don't know. Yeah. Interesting stuff like that. It's not like a huge news story or anything, but I think it's good. I think it's healthier because honestly, not seeing ads for 4 years, I think it does change your consumer buying behavior because it sounds weird, because even if you don't think ads affect you, they do. Even if you don't, even if it's not in the way they intend, it's still at some level making you have this connecting a brand with this like identity
What
which
it
it
is-
doesn't need to have. Like your laundry detergent doesn't have a fucking personality. I should probably just get the store brand because there's like it's fine. So
right,
I don't
like
know.
the things that always get me will be like a candy or something, because I don't eat a lot of candy.
Yeah.
But sometimes you see a Reese's commercial and you're like, oh yep, that's happening.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know, it'll be like a drink, either like a beer or a soft drink, or maybe even, I don't know if like a shoe. I've ever gotten like compulsory about a shoe or a brand of clothing or whatever. But maybe like a destination
Sure.
would be if they run ads for that kind of thing. So yeah, it is actually, and it kind of gnaws away at you in the back of your head until someday you just go do it because you saw this ad, or like a jingle will be stuck in your head. I can't imagine how many toys my parents bought me because I saw them on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, and that's
Growing
one
up,
of
you
the
know what I
things
mean?
too. Because
Right.
it's kids, those kids are gonna hopefully grow up a little bit healthier because they don't have as many junk food ads, and maybe their parents.
To be fair, they can sit there and binge watch Fuller House for 6 hours.
That's true.
So maybe it's not healthier. Maybe it's a wash. But either way, parents might save a little money. So you can look forward to that. I guess that's probably good. We're good there.
Wait, one
What
more
else
thing.
can
One
we-
more thing. Sorry.
Oh, fine.
Before we go, before we go on to the next thing, I want to talk about the most obnoxious ad I've ever seen. Okay.
Okay.
This was recently, because when you go to the movie theater now, you recognize that
Yes.
movie theaters have. I remember before movie theaters had like ads. You know, now they have
Yeah, it
commercials.
was just like previews,
Yeah.
and then it was yeah.
This is what pissed me off, and this makes me glad. Hopefully, this kind of advertisement is going to die. It was a Coke commercial, and I might have talked about this before. It was a Coke commercial. It was this couple, and they're getting ready for their first date, and it's like the 80s, late 80s, early 90s or so, so it's trying to tap into nostalgia. And they go to a movie, and it's awkward. You know, it's like kind of a cute, if it wasn't a commercial, you could see it in a TV show being endearing. And then, like, they're together in the car, hanging out, and they have, like, a first kiss, and then they fucking, like, open a Coke, and it's like, enjoy a Coke, and it's like, seriously, Coke, you're trying to compare your fucking bubbly candy water to fucking people's cherished memories? Fuck you. You fucking emotional...
Double was it Double Mint or there was a gum commercial too where it was Extra Gum where the entire backbone of these people's lifelong relationship, it starts to when they meet to when they have kids, relies on sticks of gum. So like they run into each other like on a campus or whatever, and he drops his gum and he picks it up and then offers it to her, and then then they date and stuff, and they have gum while they're gonna make out or something, and then eventually they have a kid and a baby, and then they eat a piece of gum while they like look at the house or some shit. That doesn't make any sense. Gum.
Yeah, see...
Gum has never had I understand the butterfly effect and how it works. Gum is the only thing that doesn't affect the butterfly effect. The only thing.
That's ads like that. That's the kind of ad that legitimately makes me mad. I understand why
Right.
corporations exist. That's fine. Like, it's an efficient way to get products out and like make them widespread. And I understand why commercials exist. But when you're like trying to, it's gross to me. Legitimately gross when they try and emotionally manipulate people into buying their shitty product that you don't need. Like, it's
Right.
I prefer ads. If you're gonna do an ad, tongue in cheek, make it funny. Be like, yeah, we're selling something to you. We know that's what it is. Be self-aware.
I rarely buy stuff because of an ad, but if they make me laugh, I'll consider it.
Yeah. So
Like if it's a genuinely good ad, I'll be like, okay, you know what? I might check that out. Like Super Bowl, those actually work if they're good, but
Yeah.
they haven't been good recently. So like one year, I remember it was years ago. I think it was the last Super Bowl that John Elway won. You don't know what that is. Everybody else does. There was a Tabasco commercial, and maybe you remember, and I still remember it, where a guy's eating a slice of pizza watching the game, and he's dumping Tabasco on it, and he just keeps eating it, and it's like, wow, this is really good. And he keeps eating it and eating it, and then a mosquito comes over and like sucks his blood, and then the guy just looks at it and smiles and takes another bite, then the mosquito flies away and explodes.
see, I think I've seen that ad somewhere.
Because Tabasco is explodey, I guess.
Yeah.
But ever since then, I thought, ooh, I never had Tabasco on pizza. I'll do that. And then, so that's a thing I do so now. So
I don't know.
that worked. So good for you, mosquito ad guy. Anyways, Another good thing in the world of media, not just the lack of commercials, but also Jeff Johns and Batfleck have introduced DeathStroke into the cinematic universe for DC. And say what you will about the DC universe in film right now, because it's not great. However, this still got a buzz. It still makes me a little excited.
Maybe
especially because it's just a Batman movie, which it's hard to fuck that up. Although Batman Begins found a way.
Maybe Slade Wilson has come to the DC cinematic universe to assassinate it. It's a mercy killing. In seriousness though, if there's any of the movies I am actually optimistic for, it is the solo Batman movie, if it ever gets made. Even if everything else bombs, I'd like to think Warner Brothers has the sense of mind to know a Batfleck Batman movie would still do well, because he's like the only strong character. And yeah. I get it, the characterization was fucked up in Batman v Superman, but I think he does a good job playing Batman and Bruce Wayne. They just need a better writer. Like Zack Snyder needs to say a million miles away from the Batman movie. End of story. And I think he'll do a good job. And actually,
I think he will.
They
got a really good actor for it, by the way. It's Joe Manganiello from True Blood.
Was that confirmed? I thought they weren't.
Every single source I can find has him playing. Also,
I don't think so, because
he's in London. He's in London right now, where they're filming this. He has he just grew a goatee recently, like Slade Wilson has, and he's been in the same area that they've been filming.
So is it Justice League then, not solo Batman? Because they're not filming solo Batman.
No, they're yeah, it's in pre-production. They're doing shots and you know how they do scouting, like they scout for location, but they'll also do
principal photography,
set dressing, kind of like they did with Superman Lives, where you have that stuff before they even started filming. You have shots of Nick Cage in the suits.
Oh,
the different ones they're going.
Costume
It's
tests.
that.
They're doing costume.
It's that,
tests.
and he's there. Yeah.
Oh.
So all reports are showing that Joe Manganiello, which by the way would be a fantastic get, is going to be Slade Wilson.
I'd be okay with him.
Which, right? It would be a really, really good get. Also, by the way, it was Ben Affleck who tweeted it. It wasn't just some random source. It could be a cosplayer. It was clearly a screen test. It's a phone video of the screen, and then he moves it around to show you that he's on set. So yeah, it's all real. It looks really, really good, and hopefully this brings it back.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Come on.
I like the suit design. It's a great, and honestly, it's funny because Deadpool started off as a parody of Deathstroke. And Deadpool has probably the most screen-accurate costume translation of a comic book character ever. And Deathstroke's is very similar in that way. Like, it looked like that is a comic book translation of the Deathstroke costume. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's actually... This is a great villain for a Batman movie. I don't know if this will be the main villain, or if he'll just be tertiary and following Batman around for some reason, and he'll show up every once in a while, or he'll be like maybe the boss fight at the end, air quotes. He's a great villain to showcase this version of Batman, because this version of Batman, as we saw in Batman v Superman, in one of the only good scenes in the movie, the warehouse fight, he's really good at that Arkham-style Batman free-flow combat, where he's like actually great at martial arts, and like it's almost superhuman. Even though obviously he's not, he's just peak human. So Deathstroke, if you don't know, is an assassin, and he's very similar to Batman in his martial arts abilities. So a one-on-one fight with them, assuming it's shot well and not done with shaky cam and jump cuts, could be amazing to watch. So I'm hoping that's what we're gonna get. Now, I don't think this is my opinion, if you like Slade Wilson, that's cool. I don't think that's an interesting enough villain to carry a movie. So I'm hoping he's like the henchman hired, or a side thing.
What I'm thinking, it's going to have something to do with Arkham.
Maybe.
It just makes sense to kind of put that, and that's what they've been kind of tossing around. That's the rumor mill right now. Is it's a take on the Arkham, maybe not the games, but definitely drawing direct inspiration from them. And I think it would be cool to kind of have, okay, Slade Wilson is here. He's on the hunt, and Batman maybe gets caught off guard once or twice, and then you kind of do this thing where you think Batman's caught, but the whole time he's just been setting it up to defeat Deathstroke as kind of this tertiary extra battle that you get during the if you do that right, you could have. It's kind of like the T-Rex
Sure.
in Jurassic Park, where he's not the threat. It's the Velociraptors, right?
Yeah.
But he's still a threat that's lurking out there, and they have some close calls. So I think that'd be an interesting way to pull it off.
Sure.
If you kind of make him the guy. Also, if you want to see that the footage, just go to Ben Affleck's Twitter. I'm sure it's probably on YouTube as well. You could just search it up. But if you go to Ben Affleck's Twitter, it's one of the last things he tweeted was the DeathStroke footage. It was 5 days ago. So really, really cool.
You know who I want to see in the DC universe now?
Who's that? Riddler?
Mr. Freeze. Because
interesting.
The only version of Mr. Freeze we got on screen is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I like I like that movie because it's one of those so bad it's good. And obviously you've seen reviews of it online. You've seen the movie yourself probably. Nice to meet you. Chill. You know, it's every single line is a nice pun. I want to see a more serious take, probably more akin to the animated series with Nora Freeze and stuff. But I don't know. I think that'd be neat. I don't know how they'd put that in there, but if they could, it'd be cool. Also, yes, Riddler, but that's just because I'm a huge Riddler fan. So
I'm a huge Riddler fan too, and I think if anyone's going to be the Joker from Dark Knight level greatness, it's going to be the Riddler. Because obviously, Hot Topic's not going to do it for us. He was fine, and he was creepy and off-putting, and just how he's supposed to be, except for visually, I think he was off, of course, and Suicide Squad was a shit show. For editing purposes, but I think Mr. Freeze in this universe finally works. Like, it didn't work before.
No,
like,
they
it
couldn't have
definitely
done it in
wouldn't work
Dark
in the
Knight universe because it's too serious.
Of course not. But I mean, it would probably be pretty cool in this.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. Also, what I really want to see are new bat suits.
Yeah,
Batman's always got bat suits going on with all these different abilities and stuff. Especially in the Arkham games, like when he gets the heat gauntlets to kind of beat Freeze.
Yeah,
those are cool. So,
well, he has a new one in Justice League,
to
so I assume at least every movie he'll probably tweak it a little bit at least.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So
also, in I think we mentioned this before with Justice League reveals, but the new Batmobile, it's a tweaked Batmobile. It's basically the same. Doesn't have that gun on it anymore, so that's neat. Character progression.
You know, if they address that, does that wipe away your concerns about the gun and the murdering from the last movie?
Well,
like if they actually address it and they go, yeah, this was I went too far, I was trying too hard, and whatever they write in.
It would be good. It still wouldn't make Batman v Superman a very good movie.
Well, it wouldn't make it good, but I think one of the major complaints is that he kills people, which I'm fine with because of this Batman, but they don't really establish it well enough for most people to be okay with that. Now, that said, I still don't really, I don't know. The more I sit with that, the less I like it. The more I am excited for the rest of the DC universe, but that movie's not good.
See, here's the thing. I know we're going off on tangents now, but here's the thing. Suicide Squad made money. I'm shocked. It had better legs than I expected for such bad
it had really, really good ads.
Yeah, it did. That's
Except they should have, we talked about this in our review, they should not have revealed that the Joker was going to be in it, except for a laugh, and then revealed him at the end.
Yeah. Suicide Squad is a testament to how, in the internet world, somehow a movie with bad word of mouth, if it has just tremendous advertising, can still get people who normally wouldn't watch this kind of movie. You know, want to know why? You know who wanted to see this movie super bad after seeing the ads? My mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And to people
she
out there,
probably liked the movie, though.
My mom is not typically the demographic for this kind of thing. Like, she normally wouldn't be like if I asked her to go see a Batman movie or a Superman movie, she would be like, oh, okay, fine. I'd like to go spend time with me. But like, she wouldn't be like, oh, let's go see Batman v Superman. But she saw the Suicide Squad trailers and was like, oh, I want to go see that. Because she thought Harley Quinn looked cool. She liked the soundtrack in the trailers, you know.
I will say that, again, the DC cinematic universe nails the set design and the costume design and even the ambiance of like the cities and stuff. They nail that shit.
Yeah.
They do a really great job. Like the Alfred and the Batcave and all that shit. Even the prison that they're in Suicide Squad, I think, was well done. All the outfits are fine. Even Deadshot was fine. The white hood or the white mask thing was weird to me. It just didn't work.
Oh, you didn't like
with
it?
The rest of it, and I don't know why they ever did that. But whatever. But other than that, like, always nailed it. It's an editing and Warner Brothers issue.
Editing Warner Brothers
every time.
And
three movies. Editing and Warner Brothers. I will say though, dude is Snyder's not doing great.
No, he's not. They need to
give this to Affleck
as soon as they can, as soon as his contract is up or whatever. Maybe after Justice League, they need to be like, all right, thank you. We'll give you an associate producer credit or something, but you don't get input anymore. Like,
it's got to be Affleck and Johns, right? Affleck is a really great director. If you've seen any of his directorial work, excellent.
Yes. So.
He's also got writing credits.
Yeah.
Coming up on these Batman movies.
Yeah, that I'm excited for. So.
Yeah.
At the very least, Suicide Squad, even though I don't think it deserved the money it made and is still making, I'm glad it's giving enough legs maybe to the DC universe that at least we'll get one good Batman movie. That's all I care about. Justice League could still be shit. Wonder Woman might still be shit. But if we get a good Batman movie, I'd be like, okay, worth it. Like, I'm not going to watch those movies again.
Movie. Although Flash and Green Lantern would be ideal.
Yes.
Hale and Barry. Ooh, come on, bring it to me. Please don't fail before that, DC.
If they fuck this up, they should just sell the DC license to Disney. They got this one. Team up, Justice League versus the Avengers.
Okay, so from a DeathStroke to a person that's just dead now, Gene Wilder's dead.
Yeah.
But it wasn't from a stroke, it was from Alzheimer's, which I guess is super sad.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
But Gene Wilder, one of my, I want to say favorite, but he's not one of my personal favorites, but he's certainly a staple in my childhood memories between Willy Wonka, of course, then anything he's done with Richard Pryor, and the Blazing Saddles, I think, is obvious. Young Frankenstein, stuff like that. He was one of those, like, he was so intense and perfect in Willy Wonka that people forget he did other things. Yeah. Which, I don't know if that's... It's kind of like Heath Ledger is defined by the Joker. He's defined by Willy Wonka. And that's... I think that's okay, because it was just so good. But this is a bigger loss than a lot of people are willing to, I think, put out there.
It's interesting. He did so many good things. He's part of my childhood. I owned VHS tapes growing up, as a lot of kids did. But like my favorite one, the one that I used probably the most, was Willy Wonka. And I don't know why. Something about that movie, it just nails it. It's not like the book. I've read the book also. It changed a lot of things.
The book is dark.
It is, and so is the sequel. The sequel gets even darker, but that's just Roald Dahl's thing. He also wrote Matilda. But anyway, something about him in that role, I don't know what it is. It's just, as a child, has sort of combative qualities, because in one side, he is childlike, but in another side, he is very stern. Like, he yells at kids, and he's dismissive, and he doesn't give a fuck, but also clearly he has this sense of wonder. It's strange, and as a child, it, like, mesmerizes you, and you want to be in that world and see what he's going to do next. And even after you watch that movie 100 times, it's still interesting to see him play that role, especially because it is, as an adult, so different than the other things he did, whether it be Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, The Producers. I named 3 Mel Brooks movies. He always did good in Mel Brooks movies. It's so different than the other things he did comedically, but it is still comedic. But also, it's not comedic. It is serious, but it's so
sad too,
and
it's
so
like
strange.
Like the end part, I think, is the most iconic sequence in Gene Wilder's library, where he's just kind of dejected and sits down with, Charlie comes in and he goes, "You get nothing," but he's in that quirky ass room where everything's in half.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like he's not whole, and it's like symbolic, but not in a pretentious way. It's just kind of how he acts, and that's how he is. Yeah. And he's just so great. And I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see him in another role like that.
Yeah.
Ever. It was more obvious humor roles. But I mean, anyone who doesn't like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I don't understand. It's one of the perfect movies, I think.
I wonder if there's anyone out there who's like, no, I prefer the Johnny Depp version.
No.
Someone who shops at Hot Topic a lot, probably.
Also, he's a meme, which is great. what's that called? Is it pretentious?
Condescending Wonka, I think.
Condescending Wonka.
Something like
yeah,
that.
that's it. Also, 2 fun facts about Gene Wilder. His actual name is Jerome Silberman.
Oh, that's a good. I wonder if that was a Screen Actors Guild thing. Like, was there another Jerome Silverman? Because that's a pretty good screen name.
Yeah, well, he was born in Milwaukee. I don't know. I thought he was more Jewish than that. Looking at the name, it's Silberman, not Silverman. But also, he died in Stamford, Connecticut. Which you may know as one of the expansion places for Dunder Mifflin.
Oh,
in The Office. So the Stamford branch actually closes at one point, right? After
you know what's so weird?
They get resorbed into
Scranton. You know what's weird? I'm rewatching The Office right now. Watched that episode last night. That's weird.
There you go, and he died there. Yeah. That's where he died. Yeah. He also wrote a book called My French Whore. So. If you're into that sort of thing, apparently Gene Wilder was as well. Yeah. So you can get up in that. And I guess one last thing, something cool that I found the other day. I guess it's been around for a while, but it's called Secret Cinema. And some of you may know about this, but most of you probably have not heard about this. You can go to www.secretcinema.org, and you can get tickets. And what it is it's hard to explain. It's basically dinner theater, but for a film, and it like takes several hours. So, for instance, when they did 28 Days Later, if you're familiar with 28 Days Later, they everyone kind of cosplays, and it's not like this Renfest sort of situation where you have like knights and it's awkward and it's clearly just a bunch of pimple-faced weebs. It's just people that are fans of movies, and they go there and it's pretty laid back, but there'll be actors seated in the room, and so people will act kind of in character like you are in the 28 Days Later universe. They also did a Back to the Future one, which was so cool as fuck, where everyone was in 80s attire and they had like all this cool stuff. And then they had a section where you could walk through a threshold and it would be like 50s stuff. Very cool. But so when they screened 28 Days Later, it ended up being in like a warehouse, and they had screens on the ceiling, and everyone watched from their hospital beds in hospital gowns, like Cillian Murphy in 28 Days Later at the beginning. So it's just one of these really cool things, and it's like secret to where like you can't tell people. Like their websites, when you go up to it, just has a button for tickets, menu, and it says enter a secret world. So you press tickets, and it just says coming soon, and their tagline is tell no one. You're not supposed to tell people about any of it. It just kind of happens passively, and then
I would argue
just show
that's
up,
sort of a Fight Club-esque rule where it's intended to actually make you tell people about it, but okay.
Well, no. Reading, you're not supposed to tell anyone what to expect.
Okay.
You're supposed to say, okay, just buy tickets. Like sometimes they won't even tell you the film
right
that you're going to, and they just and they'll send you, okay, here's what you have to wear to the event so you can get in, and then you go and you watch the movie. Like sometimes they'll have planned events. Like I believe the Back to the Future one was a planned event where they told everyone what was going to happen, but the 28 Days Later one was not. So you go and they send you your information. You might have a postcard where it says, okay, show up here at this time. Mm-hmm. And they just set it up covertly, and no one outside of what you're doing would know. They would just see a bunch of people in hospital gowns walking into a place and be like, okay. So that they do it in such an interesting. It's so Banksy to me.
It's cool.
You know what I mean? It also takes place in London, it seems, very often.
London, or you mean
it seems
just
to be
England in general?
London.
Oh, London.
No, London. London's been a lot of them. It seems to be expanding, but I don't know. I'm trying to see if there's any that's been outside of the UK.
This isn't actually them.
New York in 2010.
This isn't actually them, but I think it was Alamo Drafthouse. They've done this twice now. It's somewhat similar, but on a smaller scale. They've done a couple things like this. They did Jaws, I know, but they did it in like this giant pool with boats in it, and they'd have people swimming around and grabbing people's legs and rocking their boats during scenes with the shark. So kind of similar idea. But I know you would say
Empire Strikes Back one. That looked cool.
Yeah, they didn't show. There aren't a lot of pictures because I guess they say you're not supposed to like take pictures and you're not allowed to have your phone or whatever. Again, part of the whole.
Well, it's because it's about the experience. They want people to be engaged in the experience, and I totally understand.
Like it, honestly, if I was paid a bunch of money for that and people were taking selfies every 5 seconds about all the shit, it would get annoying. So I totally understand.
They did a Dirty Dancing one.
Yeah, I heard about that one too. So okay, if you had to pick a movie for them to do, which one would it be?
Ooh, like I'm looking at these. So we have Shawshank Redemption, Footloose, Saturday Night Fever, Ghostbusters, Grand Budapest Hotel, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which looks cool as shit. They even had someone stand up and do the, the sexy lady does the singing.
Yeah. Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah. Back to the Future, Dead Poet Society, Doctor Strangelove recently, this past February. So I'm trying to figure out a world that I think would be fun, and I think, wow, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest too. I mean, this just looks so cool. I'm thinking, they've done it already.
Which one?
The one I was gonna pick was Alien, and they've done it, and it looks awesome. They've done Blade Runner. Man, I'm trying to find one.
I had a couple, and none of them were ones you mentioned so far. Mine was.
They do redo them, by the way. Yeah. So if you think of one they've already done, there's still a chance.
They said that they're thinking about bringing it to the U.S. once they're going to try and figure out.
Well, they've done one in New York,
but they were trying to expand it in the U.S. So I'm curious if they ever. I'd like
if this becomes a traveling thing, I will go.
Yeah, or even if it was in. I live in Michigan. If it was in Chicago and it was I would have to know the movie. It was a movie I really liked. I'd take a train to Chicago or something and check it out. But anyway, my picks would be Indiana Jones. Obvious one.
Yeah.
Predator, which would be similar to Alien, but have sort of a jungle atmosphere. And then Scarface. I think Scarface would be fun. They could do some neat stuff with that. Sort of have a whole Cuban Miami feel, and then bring it up to like, I don't know how they would do it, but scenes with all the shootouts and stuff, maybe have people around actually pretending to do the shootouts, like the scene where they're doing the drug deal and they have the chainsaw. I don't know. I think they could get creative, especially
Kill Bill would be fun.
Which one? Kill Bill? Oh yeah.
Kill Bill.
A bunch of Quentin Tarantino films would be really good with that.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, they did Top Gun, so there's tons of high-fiving there, I'm sure. I don't really care for the film that much, but I think a really cool idea would be something like Night at the Museum.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because of the way that movie is.
Sure.
Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of it. The first one they ever did was Nosferatu in 2006, so it's been going on for years.
Ooh, a Friday the 13th set at a camp where you would watch it at a camp.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really good,
yeah.
Even if you don't like that movie.
See, there's so many cool ideas they could go with this, and I think tickets are like $100, so it's not like out of the realm of possibilities. It's not like $1,000. It's certainly affordable if you were to put some money aside.
Yeah.
For most people, most adults, and yeah, man, it's just such a cool idea. So if you want to go check that out, there's a link in the description, but also it's secretcinema.org.
Yeah.
So very cool, and you can check out the worlds they did in their worlds tab. They also have different ones, like it's called Secret Cinema X, and it looks like speeches, or I don't know what that is. So there's different ones. There's Secret Cinema Presents, which they will tell you the movie, and then there's Tell No Ones, which are secrets, and so they did Prometheus, Lawrence of Arabia, Alien, The Warriors, which looks cool, Shawshank Redemption, everyone's just in a prison. Super cool. So and Doctor Strangelove was the last one they did. Empire Strikes Back people knew about, and it looks really fucking cool. They have these on YouTube as well, where you can watch some of the it's like the ads and some of the footage from it. It's so everyone's in the Rebel Alliance, and it's people over the loudspeaker. It's like when the Empire's attacking, he's over top, and you gotta move, and you kind of gotta evacuate the area, and then they at the end of the night they'll show the movie, and everyone chills out and watches the movie, and there's food and stuff.
Cool.
Just looks so cool. Anyways, enough nerding out about that. That's the end of Unpop Podcast. Not ever, just this one.
All right. If you want us to talk about anything next week, tell us in the comments section. If you want, you can always check us out on Twitter at @TheRealUnpop, but no one ever tweets from there. It's like Gene Wilder's IMDb page. Nothing new will be added ever again.
Oh.
If you want to help support the show, you can always donate to the Patreon campaign. Other than that, until next time, I'm Hugo.
I'm Jake.
This has been Unpopular Culture.